Good evening. Welcome to Rochester Public Schools Post Secondary Enrollment option. We are super excited to have all of you here. We also have some guests, about 200 guests online. So we are going to give you a lot of information tonight, just to let you know that we will be available for questions afterwards, as we know you'll have a lot of questions. We also will have this recorded, so if you ever want to go back, you'll have that available as well. So we are super excited to have you here tonight. One of our goals as Rochester Public Schools is to give students that opportunity to experience college and potentially earn college credits. And that is why you're probably sitting here. Post-secondary, or what we call PSEO, is what we're going to talk about. Some of you might be very new to PSEO, so we're going to kind of review and tell you what it's all about. Tonight you're going to hear from me. I represent the Rochester Public School counselors. I'm a high school counselor at Mayo, so I'm representing the high school portion of it. And then Brenda Aiken is going to also talk, and she is our Rochester Public Schools RCTC PSEO advisor. So in a sense, if you become a PSEO students, you will always work with your high school counselor and Miss Aiken, your PSEO advisor. Okay. So what is PSEO? Stands for Post Secondary Enrollment Options. You don't really need to know that. You have to be a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader. We're going to get more into the guts of how you well, are eligible based on your different grade and your age. Ms. Aiken will talk about that. But first, 10th or 11th or 12th graders can take it. You will earn college credit. You earn college credit and high school credit at the same time. Okay, dual enrolled. When you do post-secondary options, you are taking Rochester Community College classes. And so you as a student would have the option to do a class online, do a class hybrid, or do a class in person. So that's based on your learning and what you would want to do as a student through RCTC. Okay, so there's many options there. There is no cost. And so we know that that is one of the great reasons why you are here. College is expensive, and this is a way to take that off your plate. There's no textbook costs. There's no art supplies, parking passes. None of that is part of your fee. It is free for you as a college/high school student. Okay? Students, this is a big slide for you. Mom, dad, and guardians, I'd like you to kind of ask yourself these questions too. As a student so far at your high school, how can you answer these questions? Because these questions are super important. PSEO is an amazing opportunity, absolutely amazing, but it is important that you are ready for this. Am I self-disciplined? Do I have self-management skills? Do I have good study habits? Do I have transportation? So you are responsible for the transportation to and from your home school and the college. However, with an RCTC badge ID, the Rochester City Bus works for that. So think about that. That's always an option. Do I communicate well? Meaning, do you communicate well with your advisors and your teachers? Because now you have more than one school. You have two schools where you have to be able to track things. Am I motivated to get a head start on college? Okay, what is your motivation and what is your why to this opportunity is a big question we as counselors ask our students. Why do you want this? And your answer is all going to depend, but we want to make sure you're ready to take on this opportunity as a college student. The big thing is that whatever happens at RCTC goes on permanent records. You've created a college transcript and a high school transcript. So whatever happens in these years, it's permanent. Okay, we don't get to go back and get a grade change. We don't get to redo stuff. It's a permanent record for you as now a college student. This is for both family and students to think about. College is not high school, and so Skyward does not exist in RCTC's world. So attendance, checking grades, checking due dates, none of that happens in the world of RCTC. So parents and guardians on the right side, PSEO, the college students are on their own. Instructors do not know their PSEO. There's not a big label or a name tag that they're college students. They think they're just a freshman, sophomore in college, and they're going to treat them like that. But because of FERPA, the Family Education Rights Act, you don't get to know stuff. You don't get to contact a professor to see how the grade is or how they did on a test. You don't get to check on their attendance and if they're showing up. You don't get any of that information. I don't get that information as a school counselor, and Brenda cannot give that to you as the parent or guardian. So that's why we go back to this is all on the student. Okay, on the left side, consistent attendance, responsible, independent, work completion, communication with both high school and PSEO advisors, understanding what is required of me as a high school student, so I'm getting that done while I'm also at RCTC. So my intent is not to scare you, but my intent is to be realistic with you. It is a big step, and we want you to self-reflect if I'm ready for this. Some of you might not be ready as a 10th grader, and so we say just pause, wait a year, get more experience, and maybe do it your 12th grade year, or maybe try 1 or 2 classes before you jump in. What you are called if you choose to do PSEO is that you're dual enrolled. You're doubled up. You're attending 2 schools, essentially, RCTC and your home high school. Students, think about it as this. You have 2 calendars, dual calendars, right? You have Rochester Public Schools and you have RCTC. The crazy thing is they start their semester in August. We usually start in September. They end in December. We go through January. So there's 2 calendars to balance. There's 2 grade books to balance. There's 2 to-do lists to balance. So just keep in mind that RCTC doesn't follow RPS's calendars. We will work with you to help you to do that, but just know that in the background that I have to keep that in mind. So this is a lot for the high school kiddos. As you did registration in December and January at your high school, we like to have students kind of think about, first, what is required in my grade level? So parents and guardians, I'll kind of educate you a little bit. 11th grade requirements are math, science, social studies, English. And the easy way to first think about if I want to do PSEO is, should I do those classes at RCTC? Okay, so this is a sample up here. If I'm in 11th grade and I want to do English 11, should I take it at my home high school or should I go take 11-17? Okay, should I take economics at my high school or should I go take economics at RCTC? And that's the crazy cool thing, is you are getting 2 things done at once. You've got your high school credit done, you've earned a college credit, and you have 2 transcripts, okay? So some students like to do the requirements at RCTC. Some students like to play and do more elective, fun, experimental classes. And Brenda will talk about if you qualify for those or not. And then your senior year, we only require English 4 and government. And so that opens your opportunities up a lot more. Should I take more at RCTC band, music, orchestra? Do you want to still be at your homeschool to participate in the music classes? We got to play around with what you want to make sure take at your homeschool. Or maybe you don't want to do anything at your homeschool. You're ready to take on RCTC full time. So those are kind of your starting questions as a student that you want to start with. What would I take at RCTC? This is kind of a sample, and this is a brand new world to our students. Students are always a little shocked to know, what? I don't have class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 8 to 3:30? Nope. College is way different. I see the fist pumps going on in the crowd. Okay, so this is an example. If I would take government at RCTC, I might sign up for government and it's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour and a half. Yep, you don't have to get up at 8 o'clock. You don't have to go to school every day. Okay, that's good and bad. Mom and dad can decide if that's good or bad for you guys. But this student that we used as an example, this student's doing part-time at RCTC, so they have 3 classes. And then in the afternoon, they're going back to their homeschool 7th and 8th hour to do physics and algebra 2. So there's a great deal of freedom. You get to sleep in a little bit, but you got to get to and from. You have quite a bit of breaks. So knowing your son or daughter, how do they do with downtime? How do they do in their breaks in their day? Okay, these are things we want to consider because now they're in that world of a college student. Last but not least, the big question that we always get, and I truly believe it's one of the biggest misconceptions. I am a community college alumni, and I'm not going to tell you what year I graduated, but everyone thinks community college credits don't transfer. That is a false assumption, okay? So a lot of students will think, I shouldn't do RCTC because the credits aren't going to transfer anywhere. They only transfer to Minnesota schools. There are some great websites out there. Brenda will use it and we use it as well. Transferology is a website that you can go to and put RCTC. I took RCTC government and I want to go to the University of Minnesota, and it will say, yep, it transfers, or no, it won't. And you can plug in almost any college in the country. And I know some of you don't have colleges in mind, specific ones yet, but it will at least give you an idea of if this is a possibility. Okay, so we've put 3 websites, the Min State and the Minnesota Transfer. These are schools that will answer that question, is it worth me taking a class at RCTC? And will it benefit me when I'm a sophomore or junior in college? Okay. Just remember that whatever you do, both places or one place, it goes on your permanent high school and college transcript. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce Brenda Aiken. She is your go-to for all PSEO stuff.
Good evening. What a great turnout. I'm happy to see so many people here. PSEO is an amazing program. Both of my own children did it, so that's kind of how I got my feet wet. So I will share a little bit about that later. The history of PSEO in Minnesota, it started back in 1985. RCTC accepts all students who qualify and meet the deadlines. This semester alone, we have here at RCTC 1,121 PSEO students, and over 500 of those students are from RPS. So some of the information I'm going to share today is kind of an overlap of what Ms. Kay shared, and it's not because we don't think you weren't listening, or it's just that it's very, very important, and it never hurts to hear it more than once. So some of the benefits of the PSEO program, first and foremost, for parents, it's free. You get to earn college credits, no cost to the students or the parents. Tuition, fees, and required textbooks are fully covered through the program. One of the biggest things that I hear from students is they love the large selection of courses that are available here at RCTC. Some even, the higher performing students, they've blown through all the math that's available at RPS. So they come out and do some, higher level math at RCTC through PSEO. Other students take all their electives there. We have way more art classes than RPS has. There's just many, many different opportunities. Okay, so expectations for students. So first of all, Ms. K said it and I'll say it again, PSEO students are college students. You are also a high school student, but you are considered a college student. Some expectations are to be responsible, be self-starters. One big thing is to really be able to reach out and communicate with people. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. And that takes a more mature student. Checking your email. Students, do you guys know how to check your email? Please, please, please check your email if you become a college student. The reason for that is our main form of communication with all students at RCTC is their RCTC email. And things are sent to only the students, not the parents as well. So it's up to the student to be responsible to check those. If you are considering transferring, it's really up to you, and I can help you with this. We can work together to see how things would transfer to whatever school you're choosing. One thing that's kind of interesting is some colleges are not on transferology, but all colleges have like a transfer specialist or an admissions representative that would be happy to help you figure out how things may transfer to their school. All right, so minimum admission requirements. So I'm going to start off by talking about sophomores. So if you are a 9th grader, you're going to be a 10th grader next year. One of the admission requirements is that you have a qualifying MCA reading score from 8th grade. And this is where it gets tricky for our RPS students, because nobody took the MCA that year because of the internet issue we had. So if you are a 10th grader going to apply for PSEO, you will need to take the AccuPlacer reading test here at the college in order to be admitted. You just have to show that you're college level for reading, and that's just to ensure that you're going to be successful in your college classes. So if you are a 10th grader next year and you apply, you'll need to work with me to get that test set up so we can move forward getting your application processed. So that's for only current 9th graders going to 10th grade. So requirements for juniors. If you are going to be a junior next year, you must have a 3.0 GPA. There's no wiggle room there. If it's 2.999, I'm sorry, but you don't qualify. It must be a 3.0. And for seniors, it's a 2.5 GPA. And it can be either weighted or unweighted, just whichever one is the higher one, that's the score we'll look at. So, sorry, I forgot to advance the slide. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm good. I have a habit of doing that. Okay, so back to the testing part. So juniors and seniors for next year. If you go ahead and apply, you don't have to have a test score right away to apply. It's only for sophomores. So juniors and seniors, you're fine. Once you're admitted, then we'll work on getting the test score, or if you have an ACT score, we can work on getting that sent to the college as well. Now I'll advance the slide. Okay, so at RCTC, there are 2 PSEO pathways. Pathway 1 is more your general education, liberal arts courses, things like English, history, social sciences, speech, and those are only for 11th and 12th graders. And then pathway 2 is the career and technical education programs. And this to start off with, this is where sophomores fall in under, is their very first semester, they could take one CTE class. And we have a list of all the qualifying classes on the RCTC webpage. And at my very last slide, there's going to be a giant QR code. If you scan it, it's going to take you right to the PSEO page. So the CTE programs more for like seniors, that would be like auto tech, carpentry, welding, business administration. Admission to some of those programs vary by the program. And again, you can find all that information on the RCTC webpage. The problem, it's not really a problem, but the thing about those, if you go option or pathway 2, you can only take classes that are on the program plan for that degree. So say you're studying auto tech, but you still need government to graduate high school. You would not be able to take government at RCTC. You would either have to, plan ahead, take it your junior year, or go back to your high school for that one class. So you can only take classes that are on a particular program sheet once you declare that CTE program. Okay, now to the nitty-gritty. How do I get started? Well, it's super easy. The very first step is you're going to apply online. Our application is fast and it's free, it's easy. You can go home tonight and get it done. A few tips for that. Please use a personal email. Do not use your RPS email. And the reason for that is once you leave RPS, your email is gone. And if you forget your password, need to reset it, there's no way to do that without having that email. So as you're considering college at this point anyways, it would probably be a great idea for you to set up an email that's only used for college. Okay, so once you submit that application to RCTC, if you're a junior or a senior next year, some forms are going to come to your email. That's why it's important to check your email. It's going to be 2 forms. You're going to fill it out with your parents, section 1, parent guardian signs it. Then you're going to meet with your high school counselor. They fill out section 2, and then they send all the forms back to me for processing, and that way we can complete your application. If you are, like I said earlier, if you're going to be a sophomore, you're not going to get those forms until you are admitted. So reach out to me and let's get that testing set up. So the application deadline here at RCTC is August 5th. However, your high school counselors do not work over the summer. So do not wait until August to start doing your application. I would say you need to have it pretty much wrapped up by the time school ends at the end of May, because your counselors aren't around in the summer and there's no one to submit the forms on their behalf. The fall semester here at RCTC, it does begin the same time as RPS. So, but we're still on different calendars. So at RCTC, we're going to be done before Christmas. RPS is going to go through, I think it's like January 24th next year. So you're still working on 2 different calendars. One thing to think about too is with 2 different calendars, you're going to have 2 different spring breaks. Kind of does make it a little challenging to, plan a spring break trip with your family if everybody's in school and you're in college. The spring breaks don't line up. So keep that in mind, because even if you are a high school student and a college student, you have to attend even if you're going on a family vacation. All right, so after you apply and you get those forms and you send them back and your counselor sends them back to me, the next thing that's going to happen is another email. So you're going to get an email. If testing is required, our testing person will send you an email saying you need to sign up for a placement test. The reason for the placement test is to make sure that we are placing you in an appropriate class. You have to be college level for college classes, and this is only for your benefit. So you'll get an email, you sign up to do the placement testing. Once that is complete, you're going to get another email. That's why it's so important to check your email. I can't emphasize that enough. You're going to get an email and it's going to be titled Thrive in the Hive. And that is RCTC's online orientation. The modules that you'll go in and complete kind of helps you learn how to use our learning platform of D2L. It also will teach you some important things you need to know as a college student. So finally, after you have the testing done and the Thrive in the Hive done, the final step for all new PSEO students is to sign up to come out to the college for an in-person registration session. You will meet here at the college. We'll go over some policies, procedures. We'll help you choose your classes, and we'll actually register you for those classes for next fall. We are going to be beginning our new student sessions in late April, so it's coming up pretty quick. We do run them all summer long, but like I said, please don't delay because your counselors aren't working in the summer, so you might have a hard time getting the things you need done. All right, so transferology, Ms. Kay already talked about it a little bit. And, you know, like I said, you can work with me to see where things will transfer. I'm happy to help with that. One thing is once you finish with PSEO, if you're moving on to another college, you will need to send your official RCTC transcript. It's simple and easy to do. I think it's like maybe $5. It comes through the National Clearinghouse. You just enter in where it's going and it's an electronic thing and it happens super easy. But make sure you do that before you get to your new college so they can transfer those credits onto your new college transcript. All right, some important things to remember. So some programs at RCTC are not available for PSEO students. An example of that is nursing. To be admitted to the nursing program, you have to be a high school graduate, which at this point, you're not. But that doesn't mean that you can't take the prerequisites that are needed for nursing through PSEO. In fact, you absolutely can. The PSEO program is for responsible and mature students. I know we've said it a few times, but we really just need students to really think about, is this who I am? Am I that mature, responsible student? Parents cannot check on attendance or grades. You're beginning your college transcript. At the point of registration, you have begun a college transcript and it will follow you. It will follow you to your next college. Many times it's going to follow you to a job. So you just need to keep that in mind as you're like, that's okay. That's all right. Well, it is all right, but it's going to follow you. So make sure you are aware of that. So you're mainstreamed right alongside every other student. There's 2 students sitting in the class. One might be PSEO, one might be a regular student. No one knows. You're not identified to instructors or anyone else as a PSEO student. Okay, so a student must meet certain academic standards in order to continue in PSEO. And this is true for all students, not just PSEO students. It's true for any college student. So you have to maintain a 2.0 grade point average, which is a C, and you have to complete 66.67% of the classes that you enroll in. So for example, if you enroll in 12 credits and then you drop one and then you're down, or you drop one class, which is 3 credits, you're down to 9, you're still at 75% completion rate. But if you were to drop more, you would fall below that 67%. And why that is important, especially after you graduate high school and go on to college, your financial aid can sometimes be tied to that. And you want to stay in good academic standing for financial aid. But as a PSEO student, you still need to stay in good academic standing. If you don't, you may be placed on probation, or, we may say it's better off for you to go back to your high school and pick up your classes there. So controversial and adult subject matters are sometimes discussed in college classes, as you can expect. It's a college class. You are expected to participate in the class. You can't say, oh, well, I'm a high school student, I can't talk about this. If you're a college student, you may be subjected to that. So just be aware of that. All right, so this slide here shows where you can find all the information about course offerings, different outlines of classes so you know what they are. And this is all found on our website. All right, finally, making a decision. I know we've given you a lot to think about tonight, and maybe you came in going, yes, this is me, I'm PSEO, I'm all the way, and now you're going like, ooh, I don't know. That's okay. You should think about it because it is a big commitment to become a college student while you are a high school student. It's very doable, but it is a commitment. So, you need to be independent and motivated, and you need to be able to speak up for yourself. All right, so parents, we've told you all night, like, things we can't tell you, right? Like, we're not going to talk about this with you. If you email me and said, did Johnny go to class? I don't know because I can't tell you. And I probably don't know if Johnny went to class anyways. But what I can share with you, because a few years ago, I was sitting right out there where you are. So I kind of have a unique perspective. Some tips to ways to support your PSEO student. I know it sounds pretty simple, but talk to your student. Say, hey, how are those college classes going? What are you learning? What are you writing about? What are you doing? Keep that communication open with them. Encourage your student to talk to their instructors. This is huge because every instructor has office hours every week. And, students can sometimes be intimidated and not want to talk in front of their classmates or whatever. Go to office hours, meet your instructor, and students, don't wait until you're in trouble to do it. Make that relationship beforehand. Again, encourage your student to check their RCTC email. It is the official form of communication. I can't say that enough. I can't tell you how many times students go, oh, I don't read my email. You must read your email. That's where everything is going to go. Finally, since FERPA laws do prohibit, me from sharing with you or anyone else except the student, keep that communication open with your student. It's time to take on a coaching role in their education. So, utilize that coaching model and say, hey, why don't you, sit down and let's check your email together, or let's show me your grades, show me how things are going. It's a really good opportunity to come alongside your student, help them be successful before they go off on their own. If they go far away from home, then you don't know what they're doing. At least if they're in your house, you have the opportunity to support them in their beginning college. All right, so that's me. I'm Brenda. I am the PSEO advisor. That's my contact information. Also, I am in each high school 1 day a week. So your students can check with their counseling department to find out how to schedule with me or where I am on campus so they can meet with me. And finally, this QR code. So if you take your phone out and you scan that QR code, it's going to take you right to the RCTC PSEO page. Everything we talked about tonight can be found on there. And I know it's a lot. So if you take some time to, sort through and check it all out, Do it with your students, another opportunity to come together. One last thing that I will share is PSEO is a process. So once you submit that application, you have to keep checking those emails. I think you've heard me say that tonight a couple times. But you have to keep following the process. It doesn't happen overnight. So you just have to stay on top of it and keep the process moving along. And like I said, we're starting new student registrations the end of April, but they go all summer long. There'll be opportunities all summer to get it completed. So if you are thinking PSEO is right for you at RCTC, get your application in and get the ball rolling. So the high school counselors are going to be at their tables for a few minutes. So if you have questions of them, you can stop and chat there. If you have questions of me, I will be right here as well. Thanks for coming tonight, and I hope you learned a lot.